Neil, back to you.
All right, Sandra, thank you very much. A little later in the show, we're going to look at whether what's going on here has anything to do with a lack of faith in stimulus, too. Meanwhile, this push coming to shove today, ACORN today, taking its fight to the streets, launching protests in some 7 cities. The group telling homeowners facing foreclosure to stay in those homes, even if it means being hauled off to jail. ACORN urging civil disobedience, says it is home defender teams are ready to mobilize. Bertha Lewis is ACORN CEO and chief organizer. Bertha, why are you doing this? Are any of these people who are stuck in their homes in this pickle because they created it? That they got in over their head, or they had mortgages that were too big? No one is holding a gun over our head. We read the documents and we realize that, you know, adjustable rates go up as well as down, right?
Worth less than
no, there's no doubt, Bertha. You're quite right. But people have lost jobs in prior recessions and tough times. You're quite right. And it is a tough thing when it happens. But if you are to say forcibly stay in your homes and ignore the reality that if you can't afford that home, you have to leave that home, if everyone did the same thing, then there would even be greater financial hell to pay, would there not? But Bertha, what happens to the price? You know, I know, Bertha, and you have a nice, you have a good heart. You're a nice person, but Bertha, you know, when they've renegotiated loans for a lot of people in the past, better than 6 out of 10 of those who've had renegotiated loans fell behind all over again. So sometimes, sometimes, with the best of intentions, you end up pushing a rock uphill, right?
But
actually, I'm referring but Bertha, I'm referring to loans where the principal was adjusted, where the rates were cut down, and where the terms were extended. All I'm saying is, you know, this is a slippery slope here, and you can blame unscrupulous lenders and people who, you know, ran roughshod with these subprime loans, but we all take responsibility for what we do, right?
No.
Well, actually, a lot of them don't. But Bertha, a lot of them don't. A lot of them don't. They're saying, you know, look, I can't afford this home, but I'll be damned if I'm going to leave it. And I might have made a mistake here, but you're going to have to drag me by my fingernails out of this house, right?
It is
but a lot of these are not. But a lot of these are people who not have been in there for 38 years. Some of them have just been in there a little while, right?
Want to pay. Stop.
But Bertha, do any of those homeowners not want to pay? I don't want to sound callous here, but do any of those wait? Do any of those homeowners want a free pass and want to get a bailout or a rescue that other people who are dutifully paying their mortgages are not getting? But you can't really bail everybody out, right? I mean, if you forgive everyone's mortgage, if you forgive everyone's credit card payment, you forgive everyone's auto payment, all of a sudden we become Sweden, right, Bertha?
That's not what we're saying, Neil. That is not what we're saying. We're saying, let's look at this situation. Let's make some common sense modifications so that people actually.
But what if they have made some common sense modifications, Bertha, and these people still can't pay up? And it, you know, it is what it is.
Let's all be responsible.
Bertha, always good having you. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Neil.
Bertha Lewis of ACORN. Well, is the White House encouraging these protests with this rescue plan? Syndicated columnist Michelle Malkin thinks, yeah, maybe they are. Michelle, what do you mean?
Well, let's put it this way, Neil. I don't think that President Obama, the community organizer-in-chief who cut his ideological teeth at the foot of ACORN, the Chicago-based left-wing radical group, is going to stand in the way of what they're doing, because it enhances and aids his cause here, his program for a massive mortgage entitlement. That has been the #1 item on ACORN's agenda for 4 decades. And we have funded this organization. Our taxpayer dollars have gone to it for some 40 years now. 40% of their entire budget comes from taxpayer money, and they've turned around and plowed that into hyper-partisan, hyper-political causes, including this one, increasing the power of their own organization and government meddling in the housing market.
But, you know, you could look at what's going on here, and it could boomerang, even if you were right, it could boomerang on the Obama administration, because the 9 million homeowners you're expected to want to save with this $75 billion mortgage rescue package, $275 billion if you include the rescue for Fannie and Freddie.
Right.
If everyone were to take advantage of that, it'd be a hell of a lot more than 9 million people, and you'd have a huge bill on your hands. So maybe they don't want this.
Oh no, they do want this. That is part of their driving agenda. And I agree with you that it could boomerang. And in fact, what they fail to realize is that if you subsidize this bad behavior, you're simply going to get more of it. And what's going to happen is, you're hearing it already from homeowners who have been paying their bills on time, is they're going to scratch their heads and say, wait a minute, I'm a complete chump. What am I doing paying my bills on time? That's not the way to go. And it's already encouraging. I mean, you know, you're very familiar, of course, with the term jingle mail and people just walking away from paying because they know that, you know, that is the better thing to do. They reward bad behavior. They subsidize more of it, and of course they're punishing people who are doing the right thing. So let me ask you this, Michelle.
Sorry to jump on you there, Michelle, but what do you make of the argument espoused by those in favor of this to say, look, if we don't help these guys out, well, you guys are going to suffer. In other words, your home values are going to tumble, the mortgage market's going to still be in disarray, so it's in everybody's interest. Everyone has skin in the game.
Right, and of course that was President Obama's message yesterday when he was in Arizona, that we all pay. Oh no, we don't all pay. Only responsible people are paying here. And of course, if you're only addressing people who own homes, then you might be able to say that. But what about the people, all of the people out there who are renters? I am a renter. I am somebody who chose not to buy more house than I could afford. And there are a lot of people out there like me, normal people out there, who are just wondering who in Washington is speaking for us.
Well, could be that you're just cheap and you're sitting on a pile of cash too. We don't know.
that is true. But one last thing I'd say about ACORN too is that they need more scrutiny of their own practices here, particularly the ACORN Housing Corporation, which has done a fabulous job over the last 4 years of parlaying all their government money, and because of it's all fungible, into these kind of hyper-political activities. And they're basically a PAC. They're basically the political
that's
arm for the White House. That's another show and
another segment. Michelle, always great having you on. Thank you very much.
Fox News Politics. Aggressive, determined, and covering D.C. the way you want it. Fair and balanced. Fox News Daytime. Working harder, digging deeper, and pushing the limit. Fair and balanced. Fox News Primetime. The most watched, the most trusted, bringing you all sides of the issues so you can decide. Fair and balanced. There's a reason we're #1. Fox News Channel is the only place that's fair and balanced.